Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear us all okay. You can just let Nulik know there in the chat if there's any problem with the sound or anything. But hello from Mazabuka, Zambia, where I am here with two school principals of schools that Serve have a relationship with here in Mazabuka. I suppose I probably know all of you at this stage, but my name is Rory, and I've been working with Serve here in Zambia for the past few weeks, working with some of the schools and our partners here. We've asked Cledwyn and Harrison here to come on and talk to you guys about education in Zambia and how it might be different to Ireland and some of the problems they face as head principals. And if you have any questions at the end, just send them there in the chat to Nulik and they'll make their way to me eventually. Okay, so I just want to start maybe with yourself, Harrison, if you could introduce yourself and the school you're working with at the moment.
I'm Harrison Banda from St. Patrick's Secondary School, and I've been there from 2009.
Very good. Do you want to tell us a little bit about St. Patrick's School firstly?
St. Patrick's Secondary School started in 1995. It started slowly in the sense that it was not a school as such, but children from the community who had stopped school because of poverty and the high cost of education at the time dropped out of school. So they started following a religious sister of Mercy from the Republic of Ireland. So our school is as big as it is right now. It came from a rendezvous. And in that rendezvous, it was a mixture of all ages and all grades. They were grade 1, they were grades 2, grade 3, up to grade 7. And there were about 74 all in one class. So sister realized that there was a felt need for better education, formal education for the vulnerable children who are coming from a nearby community, which we call Zambia compound. That's a compound where the vulnerable people, majority of them stay. So that's the background of our school in 1995.
Very good. Cledwyn, do you want to introduce yourself and your school?
Okay, thank you so much. On the other hand, there's Cledwyn Hamoonga, the school principal for Flamboyant Special School. I would say Flamboyant Special School started as a special unit under Mazabuka Primary School, a school which is, I would say, 2 kilometers away from Flamboyant Special School. Initially, the special school had all the disabilities that you can talk about, say the visually impaired children, the hearing impaired children, children with physical challenges, and those with hearing impairment. It is important for me to mention to you now that at that point in time, all those disabilities were found in one classroom. And you can just imagine all disabilities taught in one classroom where each disability is taught in one corner and this other in the other corner. Just like Mr. Banda mentioned here, realizing the need for a better school, the Sisters of Mercy through Sister Andrea and together with Mazabuka Association for the Disabled decided to build a Flamboyant Special School. That is in 2014. The learners with visual impairment who were supposed to go with us to Flamboyant Special School, where we are now, were taken to a private school, I would say 20-30 kilometers from Flamboyant Special School. That simply means we remain with learners with hearing impairment, intellectual impairment, and learners with physical impairment. Currently, I would say Flamboyant Special School has 118 learners with various disabilities, with 18 teaching staff. For teaching staff, then we have one house parent who's on government payroll and 2 general workers who are, let's say, paid by the managing agency. And of course, may I say it is being run by the Brothers of Charity, who are the managing agents currently. Thank you.
Very good. You might tell us a bit, Cledwyn, about how valuable your school is. So, like, if it wasn't for Flamboyant, where would these learners be?
All right. Flamboyant Special School covers a distance of 20 kilometers away from the school. And it's the only day school, I would say, in Mazabuka. the next school, the nearest school from Flamboyant Special School, which is Nanga Special School, is almost 30, 40 kilometers away from Flamboyant Special School, which is a boarding school run by the government. As I'm talking now, I think they have only 40 learners, and they have challenges to have those learners. That's the more reason why there are such kind of challenges. So had it been for Flamboyant Special School, I would say most of the learners that we have at our school would have been with their parents at home, because as it is now, there is no any other school which can provide the services that we are providing as a school.
Very good, yeah, it's an invaluable service. Harrison, could I ask you, how would you summarize the education system in Zambia, the challenges, the good things, the bad things?
I will start with the good things. Basically, the education in Zambia imparts knowledge to all the learners to have both academic and vocational skills. The academic part includes the ordinary subjects like mathematics, science, and so on. But the vocational part includes subjects like creative arts, home economics, design and technology. And our school in particular, from the word go from 1995, the Sisters of Mercy with us made sure we had both skills, the academic skills and the vocational skills, because they wanted the children to have both. At one point, for some reason, a child would end his or her education in grade 9. At that point, the skill that they would have acquired in vocational skills, they would continue to do woodwork at home or even make a workshop along the streets and sell the furniture that they would sell to the community. Actually, we have a very interesting story from our school in particular. One boy who ended in grade 12, but by the way, our school has to go to grade 12. That's what we call a school certificate. When a child ends in grade 12, they'll get a completion school certificate. But those who end in grade 9, they walk away with a grade 9 junior certificate. So one walked away with a junior certificate, but because of the skills of welding, he joined a very big sugar company in Mazabuka, Zambia Sugar. And at Zambia Sugar, the young man is a welder. He ended in grade 9. He never even went to college. The skill that he got from St. Patrick, he's earning a living and he was able to marry a nurse. Imagine.
Okay.
A nurse who ended in grade 12 and went to college. And the young man is very happy. So our education system has this advantage of empowering the children who stop in grade 9 and those who stop in grade 12 to continue with the skills that they would have acquired from the time they were in school. But the disadvantage, the biggest disadvantage for me, is that there are so many subjects that students have to learn. I'll give you a sample of geography, history, mathematics, English, civic education, religious education, social studies, computer science. At the end of the year, a child is burdened with 9 subjects, which they might not even use for the rest of their lives when they leave school. And the education system is also a bit bookish. Part of the problem, in as far as bookish learning is concerned, is that they don't do practicals that much because the funding to schools isn't that good. If we had very good funding with a free education that has been introduced, we would buy very good equipment for the vocational skills in welding, in metalwork, in creative arts and home economics, as well as science subjects. But most of the education that we are imparting right now is just about theories in class. It's just about theories in class. And then we don't identify the skills that the learners can go with at an early age. Myself, if I was given an opportunity to choose what I would have loved to do when I was very young, I would have loved to become a footballer. But because the education system doesn't allow students to choose what they want to do, you have to do every course. That for me is a big disadvantage.
Cledwyn, same question to you. Where do you see the challenges in the education system here?
Yeah, mine is a bit different from St. Patrick's. St. Patrick's is more of a mainstream kind of education. For me, I'm dealing with special education. And the current situation in Zambia now, there's no proper structure on how special schools are supposed to run. Most of the things that we do, we improvise. Basically, what happens is that you are given the course outlines and everything that is meant for a so-called normal child. And because we are trained into in special education, we are supposed to modify whatever we do to meet the needs of the learners, such that at the end of the day, these learners with special educational needs find themselves nowhere. Even the employment system in Zambia has no provision for people with disabilities, except for people who have hearing impairment. Of course, those might benefit here and there, but then the curriculum that they do is the curriculum just like any other person, but bear in mind that these learners have challenges in terms of communication. I feel very, very bad many times for learners with intellectual impairment. You know, those, they need a very, very special training with a well-defined employment system or work system that they need to do at the end of the day. But most of the time is that these learners, after handling them for 20, say a child is 24 years old, they have nothing to do other than just go back to the street because they have nowhere they can work. There's no one who's interested in them. So basically, as a school, what we've done is we've equally tried to bring in as much as possible hands-on kind of activities, the life skills that the learners should be able to do. I would say currently, as we are talking now, Flamboyant has one boy who started with us at the age of 10, at the age of 7. He's now close to the 30s. He has been employed in the school. He's one of the people who are working as general workers. And we have also targeted 3 girls who are 16 years and above, who we are currently training. Probably as time goes on, they should also be employed in the school as general workers or as house parents and see how best they equally can have a job at the end of the day. But then the biggest challenge which we have at the school is the financial challenge. Just as alluded to by Mr. Banda, the funding that we get in the schools is not enough for us to do that which we feel can benefit the learners that we have. For example, I'll put as Flamboyant Special School, I don't know, maybe you help me to convert that in the euros. We get like 11,000 kwacha to run for 3 months. In that 11,000, I have to pay for electricity. I have to buy learners teaching materials. I have to provide for the feeding program. I have a bus in the school that is supposed to transport the learners to and from every day because most of these learners come from vulnerable homes, and that 11,000 can't suffice for us to do all these activities.
To interrupt there, Kevin, that's €650.
Yeah.
You're wondering.
Yes, so I think it has helped us 650 euros.
650, yeah.
So that is how much money I'm supposed to use for 3 months. So really that money cannot cater for 118 learners. So of course, as a school, we try by all means to see how best we can come up with production activities which can help us to generate a bit of some funds here and there. Of course, may I just want to say thank you so much for the support that we've gotten so far. Thank you.
For context there for the Irish listeners, an Irish school would roughly provide €9,000 per student to every school. So if a school has, every student has €9,000 funding, where in Cledwyn's case, for 118 students, he's getting €650 for every 3 months. So
for us in Zambia right now, each child is entitled to only 200 kwacha. In euro, how much would that be? That would be 10, yeah?
Yeah, a little over 10.
Yeah, somewhere at 10, of course. So
yeah,
12 euros.
12 euros. per child for 3 months.
So it's incomparable with the Irish system, but also having visited both schools in the last few days, you could see both Cledwyn and Harrison and their staff are doing incredible work with the limited funds they have. I want to talk about something we've discussed in the last few days, and I've met you both for the listeners. In the election in Zambia last year, one of the key points of it was to introduce free education for all young people. And it's a very popular idea with the new government, and they've introduced free education for all students, which I think we all agree is in principle, a great idea that all students should be getting free education. But you've told me about some problems that have come up since that for your schools. Maybe Harrison first and tell about some problems that free education has brought.
The classrooms right now are overcrowded. The normal number of students in our classes should be 40, but now we have 60 to 80 students per class. It's a good thing, but the problem is now desks. The problem is desks and classroom space. Teaching has become extremely difficult because if I have to teach effectively, students have to see. Teaching by seeing and teaching by doing. So most times, us as teachers, we have become lecturers to students with young minds. Students with young minds, according to our teacher training colleges, we are taught to use teaching and learning aids. And each student should have a teaching and learning aid to be able to concretize the information that we're giving them. It's easier to teach students with the teaching aids. We can't afford to buy the teaching aids with the funding that we get right now, because each child, 3 months is equal to only 12 euro. And like in our case at St. Patrick's Secondary School, those in the mathematics department, we have only 2 trained teachers who are on government payroll. And those 2 teachers, a male and a female, they have to teach 800 students per week. So to cushion the numbers of teachers in the school, we decided to get volunteers. And volunteers in the maths department are 6. In the science department, there are 4. These teachers are struggling, and as a school, we are struggling to pay them as well. We give them 1,000 each per month, and that's literally a drop in the ocean. It's a drop in the ocean. If it was converted to euro, that would be 400, about 300, 400 euro. So they can't manage to buy food enough for themselves. They can't pay rentals properly. So they keep begging from us who are already in full-time employment. They are not in full-time employment. So the free education policy that the government has implemented, it has its own teething problems. We hope that one day government will manage, but at the moment right now, it's a big hassle.
Yeah, so again, it's like, so with the class numbers there, I mean, as far as I know, there's no class in Ireland in the country with more than 30 students in it. That's the cap set by the Department of Education. And Harrison is saying there's 40 best case scenario, but now they're looking at 60 or even 80 students in a classroom in St. Patrick's. And that's true of schools right across Zambia, I'd imagine. So just to summarize there, the issues came with free education meant that for the first time, lots of learners entered education for the first time, which is fantastic. But the schools do not have the infrastructure to cater for them. So now there's 10, 15, 20% increase in schools numbers without any increased infrastructure or really funding for the schools. So you can see how it's an interesting point to think about for yourselves there of, free education sounds like a fantastic idea, and it is, but unless the infrastructure and the thought is behind it, it's maybe causing more harm than good almost in some cases. Cledwyn, have you seen similar problems?
Yeah, the challenges I would say are almost the same. The demand for books has gone up, and the pupil books ratio is very, very bad. The same applies to learning and teaching materials. Equally, the demand is very bad. Say, for example, in my school, a normal class in a special education class, we only need 5 learners to 1 teacher. But the current situation is 14 pupils to 1 teacher, which is very, 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 very bad. And teachers, like Mr. Banda put it, they are struggling to meet the needs of the learners. So really, free education has come with its own challenges. Well, it's a good idea, but then it has its own challenges that I don't know how we are going to go around it. But then it's a government policy, we can't change it. And like at one point, we were trying to charge the children so that the parents can equally contribute something towards the education of their learners. But for my school, like Banda Special School, parents are not yet very much sensitized on the value of education for a learner with a disability. They strongly feel to say, when a child has a disability, to them, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And I've always coined this in my school, like my school has become like a rubbish pit where you just come and dump your children and go home. Parents don't even care how the child is surviving and what's happening with the child in the school, as long as they have a bit of some time to do 1 or 2 things for themselves. And it's like, it's an orphanage, just keep them, and which is not supposed to be the case. And as a school, we are struggling because of the numbers which have gone up due to free education.
I just have 2 more questions, so if the audience want to start sending in questions there. Firstly, Harrison, so you described that St. Patrick's is based in, or just next to Zambia compound, one of the poorer areas of Mazabuka, I understand. What challenges does that bring for you as a school to be working in that kind of area?
The challenges we have are that more times than one, the students are not able to come with food. They are not able to come with food from home. So they eat once only in the evenings. That's why at one point, the Sisters of Mercy, who were managing our school, we had a feeding program. We had a feeding program. And even the small contributions that they're supposed to make, they're not able to make them because they have no means to do the contributions. So basically, it's a poor community. Even we have a lot of students who, with good grades, academic grades, on their school certificates after grade 12 to go to colleges, to go to university. They're not able to do that. But what we have started doing is we are looking for donors for them through government, of course, and through what government has called Constituency Development Fund. Each constituency, they send some money, which is extremely difficult to get, in the sense that the processes and the protocols are so laborious. At the end of the day, you get frustrated. Our children, some of them, most of them, don't even go to college. Why? Because they have no money to send these children to colleges so that they can finish the education and look after themselves and their families. So sometimes, especially when they come to school and they have no food, as a teacher, you literally want to cry because teachers are also parents. You have majority of the students coming without food. That's the biggest challenge for us.
I'll ask you both the same question there. In both of your schools, Irish fingerprints are all over it.
They are prominent, yes.
Yes.
Very, very prominent. I think I have the Irish.
GA
top here, yeah.
So I mean, even on the school uniforms in St. Patrick's, there's a shamrock.
Yes.
And there's been a big Irish influence on both your schools.
Yes.
Cledwyn, you might tell us first about Irish influence on Flamboyant.
Pardon?
You might tell us about the Irish influence on
the Irish influence Flamboyant Special School. I would say the Sisters of Mercy, who I think originally come from Ireland, left a very, very big impact at Flamboyant Special School. I would say today, if you ask the children to sing a song for you, the first song they'll sing for you is about the sisters and where they come from. They come from Ireland. I think I know this song by heart. So these kids, they love this song so much. And I would say most of even that's the sports attire that we have in the school is Irish. you know, when we go out for these, you know, co-curricular activities, it looks so nice, it looks so smart, because even the attire that we have is so unique. The same applies, I think, with Mr. Banda.
That's right. That's right.
So really, the impact that we have with the Irish is so much that I think I, for one, now personally say, I think I benefited a lot from the Sisters of Mercy and the way they look at things. Many times, you know, we were taught by the sisters, immediately they come, there's one thing which sister always mentioned to me, which I've always taken so seriously, and she always say, just for the sake of a nail, a door fell. You know, here's a situation where today, as an administrator, as the principal of this school, a window is broken, and I don't want to repair there and then, because I have to wait for somebody to do it. Before I realize, all the windows in the school will be broken. And before I realized, the whole school burned down. So we've learned a lot from the way the sisters used to do things, very systematic, very programmed, you know, everything was on point. And I think we try by all means also as a school to, you know, transmit this kind of thinking, this kind of logic in the learners that we handle. You know, I happen to have been to Mamba, one of the districts in Zambia, Southern Province. We took these learners for some sporting activities. You know, there was, I would say, 10 districts with learners with special educational needs. I would confidently say to say, our children, people ask me to say, are these learners disabled? Because to them, they looked normal. But for me, I'm like, they're just like another child, because maybe the way we handle them is a bit different from the way they handled from these other schools.
Yeah.
So that influence is so much on us.
Very good.
As for St. Patrick's, the Irish influence is unprecedented. It's really unprecedented. And one thing that we learned from Sister Angela, the founder of our school, and she's in Navan. I was privileged to go to Navan myself in 2019, and I toured the places there, the New Grange, Tara, all these places I went to. It was fantastic. So we have almost all the infrastructure there is Irish. We have worked very hard, especially with the Irish embassy in Zambia. Then there are Irish men and women who have contributed towards building of the wood workshop, metal workshop, the vocational skills department, the science labs, the hall for the school. Let's just say everything. Everything is Irish.
Yeah.
Even ourselves at one point, the accent was Irish.
Oh, yeah.
The accent was amazing. When I went there, are you Irish? I said, no, I'm Zambian. But how do you speak like a person from here? I said, I visited your place for 2 weeks at least. Yeah, so we are so grateful to the people of Ireland for the job they have done. It's not all gloomy. The school is brilliant. It's like a school which was just built yesterday. Very strong walls, well painted. Another thing that Sister Angela did, I said the school started from a rendezvous where you had a mixed cut of children with different ages, different grades, all of them learning in one place. It started in a very interesting way. The very first teachers that taught at St. Patrick's, they were all given fees, college fees, school fees by Sister Angela. Before they even got government money, government pay, I beg your pardon, Sister used to give them a supplement every month. As I speak to you, all of them now are degree holders. They started with the certificates, they moved to diploma, now they all are degree holders. And our school in the district is on the map as one of the very best schools. I was talking to our boss, the district education board secretary for Mazabuka town where we are, a new lady who has just come. He says, your school can be a university. Most schools have blackboards, they use chalk. We no longer use chalk, we use whiteboards like we're in a university. It's amazing.
Fantastic. Just my last question, Cody. I think I see a few questions there coming in as well from Lily, but the SERV have been able to support both your schools a little bit in the recent past. Maybe Cledwyn first, could you tell about maybe some of the work that SERV and Flamboyant did the last years with the chicken project?
Yeah, with Flamboyant Special School, we had the initial poultry project we had was that of rearing, we call them village chickens, our local chickens, which at one point was really a very big success in the sense that we were able to get eggs and incubate. We even managed to buy an incubator for the school. And we were able to incubate our own eggs and we had our own chickens. And of course, then we came up with the other bigger project where we had the poultry project also. Basically, that one was more for layers. The first 300 chickens were bought, and that also led us to buy the next 300 chickens in the school. Of course, I would say the business was doing very, very fine, despite the fact that at one point, when it was booming, that's when also COVID hit us in Zambia. So I would say the business was doing fine. But of course, may I say, at one point, we as a school, all of us, including the managing agents, I think there was a bit of some mismanagement here and there. But then we had to put our house in order, such that I think in the next 2 months, we should be able to have 300 more chickens, which we are going to have in the poultry houses. So I think that should be able to see us start the project again and be on our feet and do what we supposed to do.
It was a success.
Yeah, it was a very, very big success. Very, very big success indeed.
Harrison?
As for us, it's not completely, it's slightly different from what Cledwyn is saying, but we benefited from Darren's meetings here. We have had a number of leadership meetings, youth meetings, how to rear the chickens. I think it was basically education, but the biggest beneficiary of it all is the students. We got funding twice to buy teaching and learning aids. As you know, in teaching, we really need to use real objects. So Rory was lucky, at least he was able to see some of the books that we bought with the money that we got from SAVE. But yesterday, I chatted with Rory that we need to begin to fundraise because we can't depend on donations all the time. We need to begin to do projects for ourselves and raise money like Flamboyant is doing. With the pronouncement by the president of free education, the enrollment has increased. And this implies that we need a lot of desks. Government can buy desks. We have a workshop. We have a few machines that we can use to make the desks and sell the desks to government. It will be a very good fundraising venture for our school. So if we were to ask for funding in this context, we'll be asking for funding to do fundraising.
Very good. I'm just looking at the questions there that are coming in. But before I get to those, just to say to everyone that these two men are extraordinary educators and leaders in our community, and their schools are it's incredible for not just because they're running on such small budgets, but also the care they have for all of their learners and the quality education they provide in challenging circumstances, be it with people with disabilities in Cledwyn's case, or people from a very low income area in Harrison's. So they're truly incredible schools, and SERV are so lucky to be able to support them when we can, and just thank them so much for taking their time to come and speak with us this evening. I'm just looking at the questions that are just starting to come in there now, but if you have any questions, do just put them into the chat box there and then send them on to Nullik and she can get them to me. But I suppose the big takeaways there for me from what the two gentlemen have said is the institutional and structural challenges they face when providing education in Zambia, but also the passion they have for it, and all the fantastic work they're able to do. One question there from Antonio is, how do you decide the topics that you deliver at schools? So is there do you stick to the government curriculum very closely, or say in Cledwyn, in your case in particular, are you able to adjust for your learners?
Yeah, may I start? I think for Mr. Banda, it's a bit straightforward. For me, indeed, we have the Zambian curriculum that we follow, which is meant for all the children. But then that curriculum is not meant for a child with a disability, most especially those learners with intellectual impairment, children with Down syndrome, children with autism. It's not meant for such kind of children. And even the learners with hearing impairment, it's not even meant for such kind of learners. So basically what we do is, when we are given that national curriculum, we look at the items and the things found in the curriculum which we feel are very beneficial to the learners, and that's exactly what we concentrate on. Such that at the end of the day, the performance of the learners, when they write the 7th grade exams, usually performance is very bad, because the content that we give them does not match the content that is given by other schools. And worse still, a child with a hearing impairment, the rate at which they grasp concepts is different from these other learners. And then you are given the same grace period of 2 years from grade 8 to grade 9 to write the ninth exams, such that the performance somehow is a bit not impressive. But then we are trying by all means we have developed our own policy in the school where we do not take a child to the next grade if they have not performed in the initial grade. But again, that also comes with challenges, because this child comes with an examination number, which at one point, if you delay so much, might expire and the child might not be eligible to write exams.
Another question there from Sinead. She was asking, what proportion of students would stay until grade 12 generally back in Zambia? Or how many students do you think stay and finish all the way through to grade 12?
Oh yeah, that's a very, excuse me, that's a very important question. The boys, when they begin the first grade, 90% of them will finish school. 10%, because of various problems, poverty is one of them. They are vulnerable children, and some of them have HIV and so on. But the girls, parents here in Zambia, they would prefer to teach a boy than a girl, because girls will be married off. They believe girls will be married off and looked after by their husbands. But a man has to bring something to the wife at home. And so they will choose to teach a boy child than a girl child. As far as a curriculum is concerned and the topics are already designed by government. For us, is just to deliver to the learners.
And just the final question, I think there, Sinead was also wondering, what industries would students end up working in generally after they finish? I know for Cledwyn, obviously a different answer for you, but say for Harrison, when your students graduate and move on to work, I suppose sugar obviously would be a big one locally, but what else?
Here in Mazabuka, as I said earlier, we have Zambia Sugar. It's a big institution which employs over 10,000 workers. So the majority of our children, they go to work there. Others do their own informal work. Others become nurses. And I'm wondering why majority of our students right now are becoming health workers, other than being teachers or engineers. So that's a trend. But Zambia Sugar in particular is employing the majority of our learners, and we are so grateful to them as an institution.
Yeah, for me as one who's handling learners with special educational needs, the employment rate, I would say, is very bad. I have a chance to talk to one of the chain stores in Mazabuka here, ShopRite, to see how best probably our learners could be engaged to work in the shops, because I would have also designed the curriculum specifically for my school, which is tailored towards that. But because of too much bureaucracy, it's very difficult for any shops, or probably I would say even Zambia Sugar itself. It's very, very difficult for us to have our learners, get employment from Zambia Sugar. Of course, government has a policy where they say any company that employs 10% of its workers with disabilities, the taxes, some are lowered or something like that. But then it's still very, very difficult for us to access such kind of employment activities, facilities.
My last question, so just for you, Cledwyn, what could, first of all, the Zambian government, and what could Zambian society do to better support your learners after they graduate or leave school? How can the government and how can society better support people with disabilities?
It has to start with the curriculum. The curriculum is supposed to be designed in such a way that it is tailored towards a certain kind of a skill that you want to achieve at the end of the day. But then the way the curriculum is designed, it's designed for somebody who's supposed to go to college. But then here's a child who has Down syndrome. How do they get to college? Well, they'll never go to college. All what they need are life skills. But even if today I gave them life skills, what kind of skills can I give them which are in tandem with their ability? It becomes a bit trickier looking at the job market around that we have in Zambia. Really, there will be need for us to have a well-designed program and to know exactly what kind of activities they are supposed to do. In university, I was told to say, in the European countries, such kind of people, they are given certain type of jobs that they are trained, and then they become masters in it because they keep on repeating the same work and they get conditioned. But then, even if today I say, let me teach this child on how to pack things, which shop is going to teach to employ them to pack things? There's no such a shop. It doesn't exist. So that's a more reason why even at Flamboyant Special School, we've decided to start training our own children so that these people who are working as general workers, maybe later on, as they stop working, we need to employ our own children so that they can equally take care of their colleagues. Like I told you last time, we are trying also to come up with this skills center. If these learners that we're going to have in the skills center that we want to develop, they will develop the skill. Probably they should be able to start teaching their colleagues. Maybe somehow we might be able to create opportunities for them. Yeah.
I know you do focus a lot on life skills in Flamboyant. What life skills would you teach your learners?
What we're focusing on now is we're looking at agricultural skills. We want to also to look at home economics. And of course, maybe we want to also combine home economics.
Is that only me that doesn't hear?
I think it's frozen for everybody, Antonio.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll give them a minute. They might come back.
Sorry, I think we lost you there for.
Yeah,
10
you're
seconds.
back now.
Okay. So sorry. Harrison, you want to start again there?
One thing I would love to change is looking at the performance in class in academic skills and the vocational skills or life skills. I would love the learner from the beginning to specialize. At the moment, we are just doing everything. So I would change, allow students to choose what they want to do for the rest of their lives.
Very good.
Yeah, just like Mr. Banda, I would love to have a curriculum which is learner-centered. One which is going to allow a child to explore. One which is going to allow a child, to think outside the box and do that which I think they enjoy doing. Other than us, heaping all this kind of work that we are giving them, which at the end of the day is useless to them. I would want to give a child something that's going to benefit them at the end of the day. Of course, which is well designed and well planned, which has a focus. For me, I should be able to know to say, I'm starting this child in the first grade or in level 1. What am I going to achieve after 10 years? when the child is 16, 20 years, where's the focus? Where are we heading to? It becomes easier for us to handle learners like that. Other than the way the situation is now, it depends a lot where you're handling these learners, and then they're 25 years, they're 24 years, 25 years, then what next? Then let them go back to the street and do what? And then we find them on the street doing all sorts of bad things. It pains you because I would say I wasted my time. All these 15 years was wasted. So doesn't help whatsoever. Yeah, it hurts a lot to select.
Yeah. What's interesting to note there was about 3 or 4 months ago, the Irish government announced a big overhaul in our own education system in the Leaving Cert. That made some changes, but what was interesting is how much the talking points around that from Irish teachers, Irish educators, were so similar to what the two gentlemen have said here in terms of make it learner-centered. I think it's so important. I think some of the reform in Ireland went so much towards that, but definitely didn't go the whole way. And you can see, like I said, it's impossible to compare Zambian school and Irish school because of the enormous gulf between them in funding and everything else.
That's right.
But the same problems, the same challenges, and the same ideals persist throughout. And just to thank again Cledwyn and Harris for taking the time this evening, and to congratulate them on the amazing work that themselves and their staff do in their respective schools, and the care and kindness they have for their students, and the passion they have for working with young people is amazing. And I'm so lucky to be able to visit both the schools the last few days and see the incredible work they're doing, and serve are so fortunate to be able to partner with you when we can, and support you in your amazing work. So just thank you both again, and we will wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for joining and for your questions, and we will see you all soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Well, how was that?